Although the Pyrrhic Wars are often associated with Pyrrhus fighting Rome, half of the war was fought in Sicily, Greeks against Carthaginians. From 278 BC to 276, Pyrrhus was in Sicily. The Sicilian Campaign began shortly after the Pyrrhic victory at Asculum. It was a dream of the Epirid king to conquer Carthage and its African possessions, and by going to Sicily, he was closer than ever. As the city of Syracuse was under siege and the straits to the island blockaded, Pyrrhus evaded the Carthaginian fleet and sailed to a town not much north of the siege. Many Greek cities declared allegiance to Pyrrhus as he lifted the Carthaginian siege of Syracuse. Seen as the liberator, the Syracusans gave the king ships and funds, and by the end of 278, all of Sicily was in Pyrrhus's hands, all except Lilybaeum. A 2-month-long siege ensued, but the city was heavily fortified. It is said that it had more catapults than could fit the walls, and despite the Greek engineers' hard work to build better siege equipment, the Greeks were simply not able to take the walls. Pyrrhus was forced to withdraw, but still set on taking the great port city of Carthage, he began building a fleet. But to do this, he needed manpower and funds, both of which he demanded from the Greeks in Sicily, and soon he had rebellions on his hands. The task of building the fleet just became harder as time passed, and soon some Greeks even allied to their former enemies, the Mamertines. The Mamertines had taken the city of Messana and allied with Carthage to keep Pyrrhus out of Sicily. In 276 BC, a letter from Tarentum arrived. The Samnites are being hard-pressed against the Romans. You must come to help us. Pyrrhus had lost control of Sicily over his harsh treatment of the local leaders and demands for men and money. And this letter presented the perfect opportunity to leave, without seeming as if he was fleeing. Plutarch writes that upon the moment of his departure, Pyrrhus said, "My friends, what a wrestling ground for Carthaginians and Romans we are leaving behind us." His return to Italy was equally shaky, and the truth is, we're not certain of what happened. Plutarch wrote that the Carthaginian fleet confronted Pyrrhus when he was crossing the Strait of Messina to reach the mainland. The Mamertine mercenaries, 10,000 of whom had crossed the strait, fought Pyrrhus in the mainland, threw his army into confusion and killed 2 elephants and many men in his rear guard. Pyrrhus received a head wound but managed to overcome the Mamertines. Dionysius of Halicarnassus did not mention a naval battle in the Strait of Messina. He wrote that the ships of Pyrrhus, who wanted to sail straight to Tarentum, met an unfavorable wind, which lasted the whole night. Some ships were sunk, some were swept to the Strait of Messina, and others were driven ashore on the beaches of Locris. Appian mentioned the naval battle with the Carthaginians in the Strait of Messina, but not the battle with the Mamertines on the mainland. What seems to be agreed upon is the sacking of a temple to Persephone, queen of the underworld. Though Dionysius of Halicarnassus suggests it was before sailing to the mainland, looking for treasures and money, Appian suggests that it was in Locris as revenge for the city to have switched sides to the Romans. Whatever the where and why, both accounts record that a storm at sea hit Pyrrhus's men after sacking the temple. Pyrrhus, scared that this was the wrath of the gods, dropped the treasures he stole as close as the origin as he could. In 276 BC, Pyrrhus arrived at Tarentum, where he wintered, and in 275 he set out north to meet the Romans in battle. As the Romans were divided between the armies of Manius Curius and Cornelius Lentulus, Pyrrhus decided to launch a surprise attack on Manius and send some forces to delay Cornelius from supporting his co-consul. Dionysius of Halicarnassus wrote that Pyrrhus marched through long trails that were not even used by people, but were mere goat paths through the woods and crags. They would keep no order, and even before the enemy came in sight, would be weakened in body by thirst and fatigue. At dawn, the Epirid army, near the town of Beneventum, was in full view. The Romans, seeing the enemy still in marching order, sallied out of their fort. They managed to strike at the vanguard of Pyrrhus's army and drive Pyrrhus back to a plain. The fighting was hard and bloody as Pyrrhus tried to form up his lines. However, the effort was in vain as the Epirid front lines ended up crumbling under the pressure. But soon, the tables turned as the elephants charged at the Romans with great violence. Manius Curius, seeing his legionaries waver under the weight of the elephants, had them fall back. When close to the forts, he called on the men on the ramparts to shoot flaming projectiles at the large animals. The Romans must have felt relief and renewed courage as the elephants turned around and ran through the ranks of Pyrrhus, which were thrown into disarray, and as a result, the Romans caused the Epirids to retreat. The numbers of this battle are unfortunately unknown, but after Beneventum, Pyrrhus gave up the war and sailed back home. On the next video, I'll be talking about the aftermath of the Pyrrhic Wars and what if Pyrrhus had actually managed to win. What would that take? If you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you'll enjoy these on your screen right now. Stay wonderful, I've been Wolf, and I'll see you on the next one.